VMC, digital economy, communication, technology, customer, community, network, social media. VMC, the Vascellari media channel.
I'm most interested in how the web helps us enrich our offline relationships. How online relationships enrich offline relationships and vice versa. And then whatever happens as a result of being connected. I'd be interested to hear, I know how it happens within my network and my close friends, but I'd be interested to hear from you how you think that connection has affected your personal and relationships with the people you meet face to face.
I think the Aki demo that showed up yesterday is a perfect example of where things are going. Mm-hmm. You'll have the opportunity you won't miss as many chances to interact with your friends in the real world. You'll have a better sense of where they are. But as was mentioned, about divorce lawyers and people getting caught, there's going to be stumbles along the way where you're revealing more about yourself. You'll have less control at first. And so it'll feel like people are really exposing themselves, and they are. But over time, software manufacturers, developers, and the users will learn how to set the proper permissions and how to basically control the access to their life and how much information they should share about their location in particular, but also about what they're doing right now, who they're with. And I think overall it'll really benefit us and our personal relationships. I find it a lot with Doppler. If I'm going somewhere, I know that, say, 50 other people are going to be there, and that 2 friends who live in town will be there as well, and that some other people will be gone. I know when people come to Seattle, and I'm able to make connections with them in advance.
Well, and it's not just people that you know, it's people that you might meet. Because I was twittering about my visit to Greece, a bunch of people, contacted me and said, "Hey, gosh, would you meet with us?" I ended up doing a tweet up in Athens. I met a bunch of local, hackers who I would never have met otherwise, and I thought that was just wonderful. In a similar vein, again, I realize I'm an unusual, case for Twitter because I have thousands of followers.
That's why I'm asking
But like my daughter was going to have her honeymoon in Portugal and was looking for places to stay in the Azores, and I Twittered that. Got back 20 or 30 really great responses from people saying, "Oh yeah, this is a great place to go." That's a wonderful use case. But also, like I wrote emails with pictures that I sent back to my family, and then I thought, I could share these with the world. So put them up online, Twittered them. Lots of other people got to read them, and then that was a virtuous circle because other people said, "Oh yeah, that was so cool. I went to see this. Did you see that?" I started getting these communications from complete strangers that became part of of my trip.
Yeah. But now you're having to deal with you're having to deal with classic fame thing that everybody knows who you are, but you don't necessarily know. When you walk into a room, everyone knows who you are, but you don't know.
Yeah, but over time, some of those people you do become friends with, and there are people who I now would consider to be my Twitter friends, some of whom I've never met. And again, I've seen this. It was funny because it was one of those just amazing life experiences. Was when we did our first Perl conference in 1997, and because it was our first conference and we had never done this before. But there was a community that we dealt with by email, primarily in those days, and you knew people, and you had a sort of like a real sense of who they were from your online communications. And then for the first time, all these people got together, and literally many of them had never met. And it was sort of like all these and in fact Larry Wall was a great example of this. I don't know how many, Perl is no longer quite as fashionable as it was, but Larry had, just from his online presence, I imagine him as this big red-bearded pirate, and he turned out to be this sort of very mild-mannered guy, and it was just like cognitive dissonance, the physical presence versus the online presence and the presence of the mind that had come through, in online discussions. Similar thing when I organized the first the open source summit. It was called the Freeware Summit back in 1998. It was because I realized that all these guys had never met. Linus Torvalds didn't know Larry Wall and Guido van Rossum and Brian Bailendorf from Apache, and I was in a unique position where because of my publishing program, I knew a lot of these different people, and I said, my gosh, they don't know each other. Now we take for granted that that these things, but I know this isn't really to your question of fame, but even there's always this case that in this online offline thing, you get to know people through this online medium, and then you get to know them in person, and some of them become good friends.
And I think the degree of serendipity that's involved in something like Twitter is actually driving more events. I think people have all seen that the past couple of years. It's not just the economy being strong in the past couple of years that's made there be so many events in this space. It's the fact that people want to get together in person with people that they've met online.
Yeah.
But Twitter, in a weird way, really mirrors the real world in a way that email didn't, because of that serendipity factor, and even forums to some degree.
Yeah, and the design of Twitter is just brilliant because you have, with the ability to follow without any acknowledgement. It means that you can track somebody who you're interested in. They don't have to do anything, but they know about it. But you have the ability to have more direct communication with someone if it's mutual. I mean, it's really quite brilliant. And somebody says something about you and you hear about it, and then you go, oh yeah, you better follow them. I want to know more about them. It's just it's fun. Just think about it.
Yeah.
Dennis Howlett made a nasty comment about Web 2.0, so I started following him, and then he started following me. It's kind of fun. Just.
But that's why really you guys did a lot of marketing for the event. I mean, that really speaks to that question.